guys, welcome back to the Command Beacon. Today we're going to be playing a multiplayer EDH game. We won the die roll. Let's take a look at who we're going to be going up against here. So we got a Dargo the Shipwrecker and Rograkh. We have a Armix, Filigree Thrasher, and Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. And lastly we have a Golos Tireles Pilgrim. So we won the die roll. We're going to be going first here. Let's take a look at our opening hand. We only have we have 2 lands. But we can drop this Curse of Opulence on somebody. A little bit risky of a keep. We do have some sort of card filtering with Scroll Rack, so I think we're going to go ahead and keep this. Maybe risky, but we'll see. And before we get started into the action, let's go ahead and break down today's commander. Extus, Oriq Overlord. For 1 generic, 1 white, and 2 black, you get a 2/4 legendary creature human warlock with double strike and magecraft that says, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to your hand. On the backside, we have Awaken the Blood Avatar. For 6 generic, 1 black, and 1 red, you get a sorcery that says, as an additional cost to cast a spell, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature sacrificed this way. Then, each opponent sacrifices a creature. You create a 3/6 black and red avatar creature token with haste that says, whenever this creature attacks, it deals 3 damage to each opponent. Alright, and here we go. And we drew into a Sabine's Reclamation. Let's go ahead and get the Sacred Foundry down. We'll pay the 2 for that. Let's get the Curse of Opulence down at the Golos player. We'll go ahead and pass the turn over to the Dargo player. The Dargo opponent played a Mountain followed by a Mana Vault, passes over to the Sakashima player. They play a Darksteel Citadel and pass the turn over to Golos, plays a Swamp. Alright, so we drew into a Reanimate. Something nice to have, not exactly what I wanted to see. Let's go ahead and get the Scroll Rack down. Alright, Dargo plays a Mountain followed by Mass Hysteria. They cast Rograkh. Let's see if he cashes in on the Curse of Opulence here. They play an Arcbound Worker. They choose to sacrifice the Mana Vault and the Arcbound Worker to get Dargo out onto the field. And it looks like our opponent's going to go ahead and start swinging at us. The Sakashima player is going to go ahead and play an Engineered Explosives for 0. They pass the turn over to Golos. They play a Soul Ring. And they tap down to pass the turn. Alright, so we draw into a Command Beacon. Let's go ahead and put that down. There's really nothing else we can do at this point. We just gotta hope that the Dargo opponent's gonna swing over at the Golos player. So we can get that beautiful gold token. And I think with this we're just gonna go ahead and pass it over. Best case scenario, they swing at them, we'll get a gold token which will allow us to possibly Wrath next turn. And we'll have a mana open for a Scroll Rack activation. Dargo plays a Ghost Quarters. They tap down for a Seething Song, gaining 5 red mana. They follow up with a Goldspan Dragon, Flying Haste 4/4 dragon that whenever it attacks you get to create a treasure token. So yeah, that Wrath is looking pretty good right now. Our opponent's going to move over to combat. Let's see if they come back at us. So it looks like they're going to be swinging all out here on the Golos player. Not sure if that first attack on us was by mistake, maybe because they saw the Curse of Opulence on our side of the field. Good thing is that the Dargo player is down to 2 cards in hand. We're going to be online for a Wrath of God. They decided to cash in on those tokens for a Sword of the Body and Mind. So looking to create more tokens plus get some protection here. The Sakashima player decides to toss down Armix. The Armix looks like it's going to be heading our way. So we take another 3 commander from the Armix player. That puts us at 7 from Dargo and 3 from Armix. Let's go ahead and activate the Scroll Rack right now. We'll put back the Phyrexian Reclamation, the Reanimate, and Sabine's Reclamation. We get into a Imperial Recruiter and 2 lands. So I'm okay with that. Golos player plays down a Plaza of Harmony. They toss down a Crucible of Worlds. So our opponent moves to end. They pass over to us. We draw into that Reanimate. Let's go ahead and get that Isolated Chapel down. We'll play the Wrath. That'll take care of the board. I think here we reanimate the dragon. Let's go ahead and swing in at the Dargo player. He has been kind of bullying the table at this point. We get a treasure token. And I think next turn I want to go ahead and blow up that sword. I can see that becoming a big problem. We pass over to the Dargo player. They play a Field of Ruin. They cast Rograkh. So I think they're going to go ahead and toss that sword on. They're probably coming at us. So it looks like they're going to go ahead and equip that. They move to combat. They decide to come after us. Yeah, so I'm thinking, as long as nothing ridiculous happens here, we're going to go ahead and vindicate that sword. Definitely don't want that to keep going. We still have that Savine's Reclamation now in the graveyard. That's something that we'll be able to flash back later down the road. The Sakashima player, they play a Glimmer Void. They pass the turn over to Golos. They play a Temple Garden. They take the 2. They tap down to get Golos onto the field. Sakashima responds with a Mana Drain. And Sakashima plays a Vampire Tutor as well. And with no mana left over, the Golos player passes over to us. Alright, so we draw into a Sun Titan. That could be helpful. Let's go ahead and play the Mountain. I still think I want to Vindicate the sword, and then we'll also have enough mana to toss on the Imperial Recruiter. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so we accidentally vindicated our own land there. That was very unfortunate for us. Almost positive that the Dargo player is going to come after us. But we did swing at them regardless with their dragon. And with that, we're going to go ahead and pass the turn. We could have played the Imperial Recruiter, but I think just the overall shock that we blew up our own land kind of just made me click through that turn. Dargo's going to go ahead and play Faithless Looting. Let's see if we can recover from this. I'm thinking worst case scenario, we can toss down the Sun Titan. Bring back either land tax or the Mentor. We can actually bring back a land too, but I don't think that's really going to be an issue right now with the treasure tokens. If we bring back the land tax, that'll get our scroll rack land tax combo online. We'll be able to filter away our lands. So Rograkh decides to swing the wolf token at Golos and Rograkh over at the Sakashima player. We get a gold token. Our opponent gets rid of some of the gold tokens to bring out Dargo. Sakashima player gets the 5 colorless mana over from the Mana Drain. They use that to cast a Mystic Forge. Sakashima decides to play Guild targeting Dargo. They followed up with Thoughtcast, drew 2, and then passed the turn over to Golos. Golos is going to toss down a Chromatic Lantern. They play Knight of the Reliquary. They activate his ability. So they grabbed a Maze's End and then brought back the Temple Garden with the Crucible of Worlds. They pass the turn over to us, and we draw into Rograkh. Let's get that Sun Titan down. Actually, let's get the Recruiter of the Guard. Then we can tutor for something like Ophiomancer if we can. Or we could go Dockside. If we go Dockside, that'll give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I like that play better. Let's go with that. So let's activate for double red. Bring out the Dockside. They will probably sack here in response or not. Alright, so we got 9 treasure tokens. I think that puts us in a good spot there. Let's go ahead and go for a Awaken the Avatar here. We'll get rid of the Dockside. Let's go ahead and recast that. Okay, let's move to combat. We'll swing the Dragon and the Sun Titan at the Sakashima player. We'll keep the Recruiter back, and we'll send both of the avatars over at the Dargo player. So we got a couple of triggers here. We're going to grab the Dockside with the Sun Titan. The Dargo player decided to scoop the game. I mean, I feel like we made a much bigger mistake in the early game with the Vindicate against them, and you know, we kind of stuck it out. But to each their own. And with that, we'll go ahead and pass the turn. So our opponent's going to blow up the Engineered Explosive. We got a lot of tokens here that we can go through. Unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do with them. That's also going to take care of the tokens. Yeesh. Sakashima played a Renowned Weaponsmith, and they passed the turn. Golos player is going to go for a Maze's End activation here. But I did like that Goldspan Dragon interaction. I do think that's something I'm going to be trying to make room for in this deck. That dragon allowed for a very explosive turn last turn. Golos is going for a copy artifact here. They target the Soul Ring. They follow up with a Prismatic Omen. And they pass the turn over to us. We draw into a Demonic Tutor. So we still don't have any black mana. We don't have enough to cast the Awaken the Avatar. We can try to dig a little deeper with the Scroll Rack. We'll toss back Rograkh and Imperial Recruiter. Actually, we can toss back all three since we don't have the black mana available. We get into a Maze of Ith, Soul Ring, and Path to Exile. It's actually not bad. Let's get the Maze of Ith down. Play the Soul Ring. Okay, so at this point, I think we're just going to move into combat. We'll use the Sun Titan trigger to bring back a land. We'll swing in at the Sakashima player, and then we'll send the other two at Golos. Let's get the Isolated Chapel. We'll get a gold token from the Curse of Opulence. Our opponent chose not to block, so I think at this point we are clear to flashback Savine's Reclamation. So we'll bring back land tax, and this should copy. This time we'll grab the Monastery Mentor. I think here we'll pass the turn. We'll hold open the Path to Exile. I got a feeling our opponent's going to try to use that ability to cast their commander again, just to have another blocking force. If that's the case, then we'll go ahead and path that. So it's quite the opposite. They actually ended up going for a Noxious Gearhulk. That's gonna set us back a little bit. Not too bad though. I'm sure they're gonna be going after the Sun Titan here. Alright, so they'll go ahead and get rid of that. We'll go ahead and fire this off at the Noxious Gearhulk. And what that's gonna do, that's gonna allow us to go for a Awaken the Blood Avatar on our turn, if possible. And that'll take care of their other creature. I'm sure Golos may be making an appearance here. Now part of me thinks that maybe instead of grabbing the Monastery Mentor, we should have went for the Phyrexian Reclamation. And then that would have gave us an outlet to keep our hands full and keep grabbing creatures out of the graveyard. But I think we'll be okay with the Mentor. The Golos player is going for another Maze's End activation here. They grab a Gateway Plaza. Our opponent's going to play a Sylvan Scrying. They grab a Field of the Dead. And they tap out to pass the turn. We draw into a Demonic Tutor. Yeah, I think we're just going to move to combat. We'll send the Dockside, the Recruiter, and the Monk at the Sakashima player. And we'll send the Mentor at Golos. We'll get a gold token. That's going to give us a much needed black mana here. We'll fire off the Demonic Tutor. We get a Monastery Mentor trigger here, a couple prowess. We get a token. I want to grab Animate Dead so we can get that Sun Titan. Next, I want to cast Awaken the Blood Avatar. We'll get rid of these monks, and we'll also get rid of the Recruiter. We get another Mentor trigger. So I guess we mismanaged the mana there a little bit. I didn't take into consideration the black mana from the Demonic Tutor. But that's okay. That sets us up for next turn. We get the Sun Titan out plus the Dockside, a little bit of extra mana, and then come out swinging heavy. Ooh, our opponent's going to cast a Oblivion Stone. So they don't like what's going on over here. They want to blow it up. I don't blame them. Our opponent's going to cast a Fabricate, looking to tutor up an artifact. And they fetch up a Vault of Whispers. Alright, so the Golos player plays down the Field of the Dead. We see Golos hit the field. They tutor up a land. They grabbed Vasuba, targeting a Field of the Dead, so they're going to get double the triggers here. Okay. We see a Maze's End activation. It's going to go another 2 zombies in the field. They don't have haste, so it looks like they're just going to go ahead and pass. So we get a land tax trigger. Go one of each land. Let's play the swamp. We actually ended up drawing a Godless Shrine as well. Let's grab Sun Titan. We'll grab the Dockside Extortionist here. We get a Monastery Mentor trigger, so we'll get another token. If we let the Sakashima player live, he's going to blow everything up. So I think the right move here is just to take him out while we can. And we're kind of at the mercy of Golos at this point. Yeah, I thought we'd have enough to cast another Awaken of Blood avatar, but I don't think that's the case. Alright, so we'll send the Mentor over to Sakashima, and we'll send the 2 avatars over at the Golos player. Got a feeling they're probably going to go for some blocks here to preserve some life, but I think we're okay with that. Alright, so our opponent decides to single block, and the Sakashima player is threatening to set off the Oblivion Stone here. I think at this point it's probably going to hurt the Golos player more than us. We'll go ahead and go for a Scroll Rag activation here. Might as well use up as much as we can. So we got into an Arcane Signet. I don't think that's worth playing at this point. Right here we'll just pass the turn. Our opponent plays a Vault of Whispers. So the Sakashima player decides to go straight to end here, threatening the O Stone. Golos is going for an activation here. Let's see what they get. So they got a Deadeye Navigator, Turn Timber Sower, and a Crackling Perimeter. Oof. So that Deadeye Navigator, he's going to be able to get a couple activations with Golos. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 gates out right now. And it looks like the Sakashima player decides to scoop the game. Not really sure why, when they clearly had the advantage here. They decide to cast all 3. Alright, so our opponent's going to go for a Deadeye activation here. I think they're going to go ahead and grab another gate. At the very least, it'll give them more zombie tokens. Our opponent decides to grab a Valakut. They put one of the Valakut triggers onto one of the avatars. So I got a feeling they're probably going to try to kill at least one. So they did take out one of the avatars. They're going for one final activation here. I think this one may be going at the Mentor, if not right to the face. Alright, so our opponent makes their land drop for the turn, and that's actually going to take care of the second avatar. And they created quite a board state, so we're definitely going to have to Wrath here or come up with something. Luckily we do have the land tax, so we'll be able to scroll rack away some of those lands and hopefully get into an answer. Yeah, I think I'm okay with taking the 6 at this point. Actually, we'll go ahead and Maze of Ith one of them. And with that, our opponent turns it right over to us. Let's go ahead and use this land tax ability. We'll grab one of each again. Alright, we drew into Plumb the Forbidden. Don't think that's going to help us right now, so let's go ahead and activate Scroll Rack. So this could be neat here if we can get this. If we can get one of our tokens out and fire off Giret's Belligerence, I think we may be okay. Let's cast the Mana Crypt, because we only have to cast it once, and then be able to kill at least 2 creatures to finish off this game. So let's see, what if we sacrifice this, bring our commander to our hand. Good old command beacon coming in clutch. We'll sack all 3 just to keep the cost down as much as we can. We'll go ahead and return them back to the command zone. I think now, let's go. And let's see if this does it. So maybe a little bit of overkill, but in the end, I just wanted to make sure we can actually get this down. We'll move to combat. We'll swing in with everything. Alright, so that's going to do it. Let's go ahead and break this game down. Alright, we've reached the end step. I want to start off by highlighting the MVPs of this match. Unintentionally on this list is our opponent's Ghost-Band Dragon. Its ability to double the mana from our treasure tokens synergized well with the Dockside Extortionist, and it helped us turn the match in our favor, even after a terrible misplay. Immediately after this match, I went ahead and added it to my deck list, and I look forward to using it in the future. Garrett's Belligerence was an amazing way to close the game out of nowhere, but if it wasn't for the land tax scroll rack pairing, I don't believe we would have reached the same ending. As for our opponents, Dargo had an explosive start, and I have no doubt in my mind that if they chose to ignore the Curse of Opulence on a Golos player, they could have absolutely finished us off before we can grab any traction. Sakashima had great leverage with the engineered explosives. Casting it for 0 was a great move that I overlooked in the beginning, and in the end, I believe that they did not scoop, they could have leveled the playing field and possibly swing the game in their favor. And finally, Golos. Field of the Dead is an absolute powerhouse in a Lance Matter deck, and Prismatic Omen worked like a charm, with Valakut helping every land count as a mountain. In the end, Golos had a solid board state, plus a source of direct damage that could have easily closed the game in one more turn. Overall, mistakes were made, lessons were learned, but what's most important is that we had fun. And in case these players are watching, I want to extend my gratitude for a great match. Well, that's going to wrap things up here. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. It's the easiest way to let me know that you're enjoying this sort of content. Thank you for watching. Until next time.